Welcome back. Moving on to Module 9, which is Energy Barriers. It is a challenge level 1 of 5 and does not add any additional time to the play. So energy barriers are kind of a small module. The token just covers the edge of hexes. Sort of looks like a lightning bolt. The game comes with 6 of them, 1 per player, so depending on how many people are playing the actual game, that's the number of energy barriers that are in play. After the initial turn order is selected, that's when you place these energy barriers based on the rules, and it goes in reverse order. So that player, the last player, if you will go first, and it goes around up to the first player to place the energy barriers. The only stipulations on energy barriers is you cannot place it on the edge of your home planet. So I could not put it here on Terra Nova to block my home planet. It cannot go on the edges of a tile, right? So you can't put it out over here on an edge. There cannot be more than 1 energy barrier on an edge. Right? There can only be 1 per edge of a hex. You can't have multiple ones that stack, so to speak. Basically what the energy barrier does is it creates somewhat of an obstacle in that if you are passing through with your ships and pass through an energy barrier, then you will take 1 damage for each ship that passes through one of these energy barriers. So if I wanted to, and this brings in some interesting strategies, right, in terms of where to place these. Because as you recall, if you're playing with the Proxima Centauri star in the middle, that's no longer passable for ships. So if an energy barrier appeared here, for example, and I wanted to get around the board in this fashion, I'm now forced to move that way unless I want to take the damage going through this energy barrier with my ships. However, the exception to that is the good old Dark Raiders. Is it going to focus? And you know what the Dark Raiders are. So they are immune to the damage from an energy barrier. So your Dark Raiders could pass through here without any taking any damage. They're immune to it. In addition to the ships with the energy barriers and what that does to your ships, also WMDs are affected in that it adds an additional distance if they're passing through. So you know, based on your roll of what distance you're trying to achieve, that's going to add 1 more if you're passing through an energy barrier with a WMD attack. There's a variant to place the energy barriers as well, as opposed to having players in reverse order place them wherever they choose, following the stipulations, right? Not on any edges and not on the home planet. And that's basically starting from the center hex, which in this case is Proxima Centauri, and rolling a die 3 times, usually 3 times unless there's a reason to add additional rolls. So I'll show you now. The one thing to point out is with Proxima Centauri, since it's a hex you can't move into, it doesn't have the numbers on the edge. So I'm going to use another tile and just place it on here randomly so I get some numbers associated with the different edges. So starting from the center, you roll a die. I rolled a 1. So we follow off from that edge and move into this tile. You roll again. Within this tile now I got a 2, which brings me back to the center, so I am back in the center now. And the third roll is a 3, and so that dictates this edge right here. So that is the placement of our first energy barrier. Will be right here. And let's place another one. So starting from the center, 3, I move out to here. Oh, you can't see this. Let me scroll in. So I move out here off of the center to 3. I'm going to roll a second time and I get a 6. So now that has moved me into here. And the final one will give me a 3, which is here on this edge. All right, and sure, let's do one more. So from the center, another 3. I'm back down in this area again. I'm gonna roll again. I get a 5, so that has now moved me up into here. And the third and final roll gives me a 3, which is this edge here. Thinking of this in terms of the center hex, right, not being passable anymore, things like this, right, would change that quite a bit, right, because now this becomes sort of a choke point, so raiders can pass through, again, the energy barriers without taking damage, but other ships cannot. So I think there's going to be some interesting strategy involved with this, and it's a real quick module to add. So I'm looking forward to it. One other point to make about the variant to randomly determine where the energy barriers go is if you ever move off the edge with a roll. So let's say we rolled from here, we ended up in this hex with our first roll. Our second roll ended up being a 3, right? So that would move us off the edge here. What it says is if you've ever moved off the edge, you continue on the opposite side of the map. So in this case, the opposite side would be over here, and we would end up in this hex, right? And then on your third roll, in this case, I rolled a 6, so that's bringing me off the edge again, so that's not a valid placement. So it says on your third roll, you would move that direction, which again is off the board, right, to the other side. We're back where we ended up. Roll again, a 5, so that now is a valid placement, which would go on this edge here. Right? If on here, the second time I rolled a 4, which is not valid because we can't stack these up, we would move into here and then roll again. And in this case, I got a 3, which is not a valid placement, right? It's on an edge. So I'm going to move from here to the opposite edge. I'm here now. I'm going to roll a 1, and now this is a valid placement of an energy barrier. The final module, Module 10, is called Leaders, and it has a challenge level 1 of 5 and does not add any additional playtime to the game. There's 18 unique leader cards, and during player setup you get to choose 2 of them. From those 2, you choose 1 and place it face up in front of you. The leader you choose is going to offer you some benefits. You're going to want to probably pick something that's in line with, if you're playing with Edge of Extinction, which again I highly recommend. But so with Edge of Extinction, you're going to want probably to align these with some of your strengths with that particular faction. All right, let's take a look at the different leaders, what their benefits are, and what their titles are. The first one is David Cochran. He's an admiral. With this leader, you get a discount on military technologies when you're researching them as a research action, and you get a discount of 2 CP. Here's a similar one. This is Aaron McDonald with a title of governor. And so same idea, except this is all on civilian technologies. You get a discount of 2 CP taking the research action. And then finally, Tayana Ray is a commander, and with this leader you get a 2 CP discount on transport technologies when you're taking the research action. Moving on to Laura Zyra, who's a scientist. Now, so her special ability happens before the start of turn 1. And so you can research any technology with a printed cost, now a printed cost of up to 5 CP without paying the cost for it, right? And then in addition to that, you get a little bump of resources before turn 1 by choosing either to gain 5 CP, 2 Axinium, or 2 Phasium. So you get a little more resources to start with as well. Next is Laura Beth Vassal, a Visionary. And again, this leader gives you a benefit before the start of turn 1, and you're able to take any one standard action of your choice. Next is Robert Searing. He's an industrialist. And so during the upkeep stage with this leader, you're going to get 6 CP instead of the normal 5 CP from your planets when you're gathering resources on those planets. The next leader is Johnny Jilko. He's an engineer. And so he basically gives you a few extra ships to start the game. In addition to your normal starting ships, you're going to get an additional Dark Raider and a fighter. Vernon Piper is the next leader, and he's an infiltrator. So with this leader, you can, once per turn, and this is going to be during the action phases, right, when people are picking their actions, you can use the same reaction as another player. However, it's at the cost of +1 population. So normally when someone chooses a reaction to an action card that's out there, they pay, if it's their own reaction to their action card, they pay 1 population. And if it's someone else's action card and they're playing a reaction on it, it's 2 of their population. And then that effectively locks out that reaction. When someone chooses that, another player cannot choose that same reaction. With this leader, however, you can choose whichever reaction you want, even if it's been chosen by another player, but you do need to pay +1 population on it. So if it's your own reaction, that's going to be 2 population, and if it's another player's reaction, it's going to be 3 population, adding that +1 to the 2. The next leader is Fernando Lago, and he's a diplomat. So once per turn, you're going to gain 1 victory point when another player uses the reaction on your action card. So during that action phase, when you're playing your actions, if someone chooses your reaction once per turn, you do get to gain a victory point. Next is Alexander Hill. He's a strategist. So once per the conquest stage, you're going to gain 1 victory point if you win a battle against another player. So if you get in an altercation with another player and defeat them in that battle, once per the entire conquest stage, you do get to gain 1 victory point. So you're going to want to be a little more aggressive probably with this leader to get some of those extra victory points. Gordon Rios is a tactician, and so also sort of engaged in the warfare aspect. You get to roll an extra die when you control 2 ships of the same type participating in the same battle. And it's only going to be max 1 extra die from this ability per battle. Right? So you can't have multiple 2 ship types and roll additional die. It's only going to be 1 extra die from the ability. Moving on to Dulcie Healy, and she's a politician. So during the council stage, when you are bidding, this card allows you to double your bid up to 5 CP. So 1 through 5 are going to get doubled when you're voting on something and paying CP for it. Past that, however, it's just going to add an additional 1. So for example, if I have this leader and I put down 6 CP, the 5 of that 6 is going to double to 10, right? So I've got 10, and then that additional 1 that moves us to 6 is going to add 1 to that. So I'll have 11 CP. In addition to that, if you tie any bid, and it has to at least be 1 CP that you're bidding. But any ties then that you're involved in with this leader will be broken in your favor, right? So normally the chancellor will determine who wins the tie, but in this case, if you have this leader, you automatically win a tie. Joe Gunn is a commissioner. So with this leader, war cruisers are going to cost 1 Exinium less for you to build. Normally they're 2 Exinium and 5 CP, so he gives you a bit of a discount on building war cruisers. And the war cruisers are these ships here. Kind of cool, almost as cool as looking as the fighters. JR-A200 is a scrapper. This leader is going to give you a discount on upgrades. They're just 1 CP less. However, it's only on cannon and rocket upgrades. The scrapper then gets a 1 CP discount on the plasma cannon, right, because that's 3 CP. And then also on the antimatter cannon, which is 4. So that's a discount on that one as well. If you're playing Blackwater, you also get a discount on the EMP cannon, as that is 2 CP. And with the rockets, so the hypersonic does not apply because that's only 1 CP out of the gate. The biochemical, however, you'd get a 1 CP discount, and also with the graviton, you would also get a 1 CP discount with the scrapper leader. Axel is a peacekeeper. There she is with her dog, spreading peace across the systems. With this leader, similar to the scrapper, you get a 1 CP discount. And again, I should mention it's a minimum of 1 CP after that discount. But with this leader, it only applies to all the drives and shield upgrades. The fusion drive, you would get a discount on, and the anti-gravity drive as well. In terms of shields, the electromagnetic shield, which is 2 CP, you get a discount on that. The MPG shield, and also the QGP shield. All of these are more than 1 CP, so the discount would apply. If you're playing with Edge of Extinction and you're playing the Han Shou Dynasty, that does not apply with the hyperspace drive, as that's just 1 CP. Shaylee Cooper is a magistrate. So with this leader, you're going to want to make sure you research civilian ships to get a benefit from this leader. And it's actually a pretty cool benefit. So normally within the conquest stage, you can mount population onto your transport ships where you have slots available to transport population. Then you move those ships, and then if you've researched civilian ships, you can move population between planets where you have a presence. This allows you to move using the civilian ships ahead of time if you choose to, before you're even mounting population. So it gives you more flexibility in terms of the logistics of moving your populations around the different planets. In the conquest phase, the first step is to load population onto ships. Right? So in this case, I've got a carrier out here, and I have 3 population on this planet. Now the carrier can take on 3 population, so to maximize that payload, I could do that. However, I leave no population on this planet. You'll also notice I have a single population on these 2 planets, and then my home planet has 3 population. From there, the next phase would be to move ships. So now I've effectively, if I'm going to move that ship, effectively taken my population off of this planet, and as a result, as we go past the conquest stage, back up to the upkeep stage next round, I'm not going to have a presence here to get any benefit from this planet. With the Magistrate special ability, however, if I have, and of course you could leave one population cube back, right, and only take 2 in your ship, right? But the point is, with the Magistrate, I can still take, before I take the 3, I can leverage the civilian ship's technology before the loading of the people into the ship, the population into the ship, and moving the ship, right? I can move that out of order, right? So I can take these 2 from my home planet, if I chose to, and move them out here because this planet currently has population, and leverage that civilian ship's technology. Now I can take 3, maximize the payload of my carrier, and still have 2 population on this planet waiting, and then I can move to the movement ship to keep a presence on this planet, so next time we go to the upkeep stage, I'm going to have a presence here, and I'm maximizing the slots in my carrier to move population. Josh T. Brenner is a merchant, and with this leader, you're always going to use the leftmost market slot when you take a trade action. It says regardless of which slot your marker occupies, so you are still going to put a marker down to affect the market. However, you're going to use the far left, which is the best rates in terms of either purchasing Exinium or Phasium or selling those said resources. And now this also specifies, which is interesting, if all the trade actions, all the available market slots are in use, then you can still take a trade action. So normally if all of those slots get utilized within the market effectively closes. With this leader, you can still take a trade action, and in addition to that, go to the far left side of the market to get the best rates. The merchant leader, to give you an example of the market, so here is the leftmost slot, right? And within that, here's where folks place their cubes when they use this resource. And as you notice here, so the best rates in the market is you can pay 3 CP to get either a Phasium or Exinium, or you can sell one of the 2 resources and get 5 CP. And then basically as players start moving through this, right, and I'm just using the same color for sake of argument, this will effectively move up now. So as you can see, the market is now fluctuated in that it costs 5 CP at this point, right, to buy an Exinium or Phasium, and then selling those has dropped to 4 CP now when you're selling. So again, with the merchant leader, you always get to leverage the best rates with the far left slot of the market. In addition to that, there is advanced trading as a technology. And so that's what these red numbers are. So that if you use that, or you would research that technology, you'd be able to leverage on the far left the red numbers. And not only that, you would be able to do selling and buying within that same trade action. Now normally you can only do 4 to buy or 4 to sell. With the advanced trading, you can do a combination of the 2. Finally, the last leader, or in this case leaders, the FAMs, and they are celebrities. So with this one, it's pretty straightforward. You get 5 VP at the end of the game by having these leaders, these celebrities on your team. I guess kind of like maybe the Partridge Family. Maybe not. No one knows that reference. They had a cool bus, though. Okay, guys, that concludes the in-depth look at the 10 modules from Event Horizon. In upcoming videos, I want to move on to the new scenarios, the Centaurian Stronghold, and also the Event Horizon scenario. In addition to that, I want to bring the base game and Edge of Extinction to the table with some of these modules added in. So in the comments, let me know which ones look interesting to you, which you want to see in an actual gameplay, or maybe all of them. All right, guys, thanks again, and have a great day, night, wherever you are. Bye.